Hello, everybody. My name is Master Chen.
This is Zenify.
And I'm Richard Satchel.
And you are either watching or listening to Greynoise. This is episode 197. We are here live like every Friday night at the Sin Shop. It is 7:30. So the address is 1075 American Pacific Drive, Suite C in Henderson, Nevada. I get a lot of shit for always giving that address, but hey, we have a wild crux in the audience, so I know that giving out the address works. He found his way here.
Wait, and then went in back.
Oh, he's in the back.
Yeah.
Well, he was here.
I don't think he's here today.
No, fine. Never mind. Well, so for information on the shop, go to synshop.org. That's synshop.org. For information on the classes that we teach and things that we do here, go to meetup.com/synshop. And for information on us, yeah, this is going to be great. For information on us, go to Greynoise, GREYNOI.SE. Okay.
What is it called?
Yes, we'll talk about the announcements right now. So a couple of things coming up. We have HiboCon. When is that coming up? June something.
You know, I was the one that scheduled the event. And,
oh, Zenify, okay.
It's a great chance for all the Hebos to come together and have a convention.
Have a conference, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's June 2nd.
June 2nd. Okay, so HiboCon is June 2nd. And for those of you
Hebos.
Yeah. For those of you who do not know what HiboCon is, it's basically a derpy bot war. So you make a derpy robot, you put it on the table and see which one survives. It's actually pretty fun. So yeah, in fact, you lose points by making it really sophisticated. So you want it to be a really derpy bot.
See, I want to make one that has to eat in order to keep moving, so that way it could be a hungry Hebo.
Oh my God!
That was on the fly, right?
Oh, that was. I gotta give you that one.
That was
okay.
on the fly.
We got a lot of shit to talk about, so let's get into it. Now, speaking about making, though, we would like to introduce a guest of ours today that comes to us from the i3 makerspace out in Detroit, Michigan. Tucson O, go ahead and introduce yourself there.
So my name's Thomas Tucson O. I'm currently the assisting acting coordinator for the i3 Detroit Woodshop. And I was out here on vacation and decided to visit you lovely people and be on the podcast.
Hooray!
Sweet. So, of course, today the episode is going to be mostly focused on making things. We will still have our lightning round at the end, but we're going to be talking more about the physical aspect and well, we'll get into this. The difference between like a makerspace, hackerspace, and we'll just see where the conversation goes there. So yeah, again, thank you for joining us, dude. I know that you have to catch a flight after this, so I'm glad that it all worked out with the timing and everything.
I'm very glad to be here.
Sweet. So let's talk first about this cocktail that you made for Greynoise specifically.
Why'd you
All right,
emphasize
so-
that?
Because it's a makerspace.
So while I do my own woodwork, I also bartend on the side. And as we had a conversation Thursday, so the audience knows, we met for lunch and we talked about symbols and making. And one of my huge things is breaking down things into symbols. So I looked at, Greynoise and what it was, and you guys are mostly in InfoSec and security and all this other stuff. First thing that came to mind was the different types of hackers. I wanted to do a gray hat, but that entitled Grey Goose and a vodka. So I wanted to go something with a little bit more character in the Southwest here. So I went with tequila, particularly my personal favorite, Cabo Wabo. And I went with red hat. So instead of the gray hat. So that allowed me to work with flavors like red raspberry. And also I put a slice of apple. I jokingly said it has to be a Macintosh peeled with the lid of a MacBook.
That
yeah,
screwed
like
me up. I was speaking to my girlfriend about it. I'm like, he gave me this list. I'm like, where do I find a Macintosh Apple? And then
The Apple Store?
I don't think that exists. I was like, oh, that makes sense. I'm just supposed to get an apple.
Now, are you just calling this the Greynoise cocktail, or?
yeah, this is one of my gifts to you guys. This is the signature cocktail of the podcast.
This is great.
I also used agave syrup to sweeten it up because it does use tonic water. And tonic water I used instead of club soda, but the carbonation is supposed to represent noise because my lovely girlfriend off camera right here normally calls club soda TV static. So,
Dude, this all makes sense.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's the Greynoise cocktail, the red hat hacker, more or less, and it would normally be in a tall Collins glass, topped off with a red apple peel to give it a red hat. So.
Oh my God, I love this shit all over the place.
Yeah.
All over the place. I'm just loving it. All right. Shut up, Satchel.
Way
I
more
need to
preparation.
clean everything.
All right, so let's get into some of the meat and potatoes here. So we wanted to talk about like the different, or what you would consider maybe the difference between a makerspace and a hackerspace. Is there a difference? Where are you coming from? What's your background? Let's start there.
All right. So I went into college. I tricked them into thinking. Well, I didn't trick them, but I told
Social
them,
engineered.
Yeah, social engineered. I said that there is this philosophy and psychology behind craft that increases your self-esteem, and I wanted to get into the practical aspect of that. And my stuff is furniture building, guitar making, things like that. And so I, said, okay, I will give you this research where I read books like Matthew Crawford's Shop Classes Soulcraft, like Peter Korn's What We Make and Why It Matters, like Richard Sennett's The Craftsman, all of these books that are now considered. Oh, and Nick Offerman. Paddle Your Own Canoe, Good Clean Fun.
Yeah.
Those kind of books are in that library as well. So I looked into why we make things and how it matters and all this other stuff. Just dug into the meat and potatoes of it. We make to create symbols. We make to express ourselves, to have some sort of agency and control over our world. And now to get back to it, hacking is that as well. So that's why I wasn't necessarily as afraid of approaching you guys to be on the show, is because hacking, you guys are expressing agency in the physical world, because now there's things like G-code that you can translate into machining that have a real world physical effect, or what most people, whereas a lot of people think that hackers do things just in the air with signals and all this other stuff. And they think it's magic and there's no real consequence in the physical world for it. Well, there is. When you write a line of code to do something, to shape something specifically, that has an effect.
Yeah.
So hackers and makers are not far from one another at all. Whether you call yourself a hackerspace or a makerspace really, I think, comes down to the distinction of, do we have more power tools or do we have more computers and technology?
I would agree with that.
And that's more or less it, and that's where it ends. But in reality, hackers and makers are doing something incredibly important in that they're becoming self-sufficient, and spaces like i3 and like SynShop are only proving that. So.
Absolutely. So it's like providing more agency to people. Like, you go from, oh, there's no way I could possibly make a couch, to where they're making really nice couches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you were making things, of course, before you joined i3, right? I mean.
Oh yeah. So my family, it goes back way back. Hi, Ma. Her great.
By the way, we have a couple of new subscribers because of this gentleman right here.
Yeah, all of I3 Detroit is watching. They're actually broadcasting their shop comments.
Hooray!
So yeah, so they're all drinking and cheering whenever they have a drinking game going. I think they'll probably all have alcohol poisoning.
Actually, yeah. So one of the drinking game rules is every time that the word hack is mentioned, you take a drink.
Except you.
I'm breaking the rules. I'm breaking the rules.
So my great grandfather, to get back to it, the story that I'm told is he was a homesteader in Montana. He came over from Japan, and then my grandfather became an industrial shop teacher. Now, both of those professions or lifestyles are very self-sufficient, very tactile, very hands-on. And I saw and admired people like my uncle who did auto body work, my grandfather who did silversmithing, and this is actually a ring I wear all the time that he taught me how to make out of silver stock he had in his shop, which is now unfortunately closed. They ran a craft store for a long, long time. So that had a lot of importance to me, and then what can I do for the community? So yes, I've been a maker for a long, long time before even knowing what a makerspace was. So
That's pretty cool.
Actually, I don't think I've ever asked you guys either. So what brought you guys, we can share these stories, right? Like what brought you to the Makerspace Zenify and what brought you to the Makerspace Satchel? Or Makerspace, Hackerspace, synonymous.
So originally, I had always been interested in the concept, but as far as the making stuff, I started out just kind of like doing it in my own garage, and then I was like, oh, hey, there's other people that would like to do this stuff too. That's kind of cool. So my wife went on a vacation with went on a girls' friends vacation, dealy bopper, and for a week, and I was like, hey, I'll go check out that place. I came down here, and I've been coming here ever since.
Because the first time that I met you, you brought in like a phone that was made with a Raspberry Pi, but remember,
it was
the
like
old
second
school,
or third time,
it was this old school like rotary phone with the.
So I was in my
it cool.
garage and I saw this a touch tone phone, right? Old school, like risky business, walking around the house. What? Slam, that kind. So I was looking at it and I was like, man, that was such a nice interface for a phone. And I was like, And then I was on Adafruit and I saw the Phona card. You see where this is going.
Yeah.
I have a cell phone in my possession that is entirely encased into an old phone. The buttons work. Beep, boop, beep, boop. Yeah, no, it works, and you can hang up just like, bam. It's awesome.
I think a lot of people miss that feeling of hanging up the phone or slapping it, with the flap closed.
damn it.
The flip phone closed. Yeah, really cool. All right, Zenify, what brought you to the shop?
The podcast.
The podcast.
Well, I mean, when I got hired at the same company that you and I used to work at, I think you and I were just discussing it on the first day, and so that first Friday, you just said I should come on down, and I did, and then I was like, hey, you guys should be live streaming this thing instead of, just audio, and then we started live streaming, and now I've been here for 4 years or whatever.
So I have you to thank for my Fridays being ruined.
Yeah.
You and McNutt,
thank
of course.
you.
You guys are a great production team. So what brought me to Sin Shop was, I can't remember exactly which DEF CON it was after. I think it was after DEF CON, whatever 2014 or 2013 was. DEF CON had just ended, and I was talking to a friend of mine that goes to DEF CON with me annually. And I was like, man, I'm so bummed that the conference is over, the hacker conference is over. And so, I think it was DEF CON 22 then. So I was like, oh man, it's over. I'm gonna have to wait a whole year before all this really cool hacker summer camp stuff. He's like, well, why don't you just go down to the shop? I'm there every week. We're talking about Vic, of course.
Cool.
So I was like, oh shit. So I get to the shop, and we're still downtown at the time, by the way. And it was DEF CON year round. So it was just a whole bunch of people that, I would meet with anyway, and all the, at the time, a lot of people were more into the maker, the hardware, the physical stuff. We had, we had a shop bot in the back. We had the 3D printers and everything. And I would like to think that the podcast, we can get into that story too, but I'd like to think that the podcast maybe brought a little bit more of the software hacker element to it. But and I'm not discounting anything of that nature, but I don't touch hardware usually. Like the stuff that I make is all software, and so it's of the same vein, but kind of like a different side of the coin, right?
Yeah, so I'm actually the odd man out, whereas I'm much more the physical type. That sounds weird. But like, no, I like actually building stuff and electronics and that end of the things. The chips, not the salsa, but.
For me, even with my furniture, so I started off doing guitars and furniture and things like that, and I'm still doing that stuff. But initially, it was the anthropomorphized values that we assign to materials, like we.
Furries?
No
hate. No hate.
No hate here either, but
no persecution.
Yeah, but no, it was a concept where you assign something, like you say brick is honest, where stucco lies to you because stucco can be formed.
Yeah.
So things like that. So I used to think that wood was the only honest material, and that's what I'd work in. And then I'd go to I3, and I found people who were working in other materials, who were working with code, who were working with CNC machines. And my initial thought was, they're letting the machine do the work for them. So I kind of brushed it off. And then I very slowly started to realize that if I ever wanted to step up into doing woodworking as a job and as a business, that I'd have to incorporate some of that just to keep up. Mm-hmm. And that's not to, disparage my own ability or anything like that. That's just the reality of it, is boutique makers now, or craftspeople, have to integrate that in, or they have to charge a premium for their time, or it's just a side hustle. Mm-hmm. So being that, I started paying attention very closely to what other I3 members were doing. Are they using CNC machines? Are they using epoxy resin in their work? And some of my pieces began to incorporate that stuff. Yeah. I have a bookshelf that I did that I call Heritage Piece, it's made after the Borgen Stave Church in Normandy. And it is the most obnoxious thing. Half of the I3 members are all nodding their head, going like, that thing sat in large project storage for 3 months. Like, yes, we're glad it's gone. We took it to Maker Faire, and then we brought it to your house. Thank you, Jody, very much. He helped unload it. Nice. He says we'll never talk about that ever again, but too bad, sorry. So to get around to it is I used laser cut pieces of 1/2-inch plywood, which I didn't originally like, because plywood isn't real wood, and that's a whole argument. Yeah, exactly the kind of attitude. Yeah, we dragged downstairs. Yes, thank you, Jody.
So yes, we do have a couple of members here in the live stream from the i3 makerspace. And so if you don't know how to join our Discord yet, you should know, and that's why we're going to take this really quick break to tell you to go to Greynoise, GREYNOI.se. There's a link there to join the Discord. We are all chatting in the live stream right now, so if you want to keep up with the conversation, you're more than welcome to. Please feel free. And that's it. Let's get back to the program.
Oh, sorry. So just for a couple more incentives off what Shen said, Jody, or Jodybug in Discord, is our Weld Zone coordinator, and Nate, who's tagged as myself, which often leads to a lot of confusion, he is one of our founding members of i3 Detroit. So he's available if you want to pick his brain. If you're a real nerd about makerspaces, go talk to him. He's awesome. I often call him the Gandalf of our space. But either way,
does he have a long beard?
Does he not let people pass?
Does he have a really big pipe?
He's very tall with a ponytail and is very wise, and he has taught me a lot about leadership.
Oh, we have one of those.
Yeah,
we have one of those.
So. Anyway.
Yes, that was an allusion to Crux.
So back to the story about this bookshelf. I built in these symbols, and I laser cut them all. And otherwise, it would have taken me hours to cut them out in the bandsaw, route them from templates, but it was just, program or design these things in Adobe Illustrator, export the file, the DXF file, I believe it is, throw them on Wolverine and Bumblebee, our laser cutters, and, then just take the pieces off, stain them, and I had a whole factory assembly line. And if, I'm going to do a self-plug here. If you want to see that, it's on my Instagram. The whole picture of the process. Tom_Tucson, THOM_TUSANO. So that's the Instagram. And we also have the Tucson O Trading Co. is our company Instagram. And so with that, I was able to, finish this bookshelf in a reasonable amount of time, and, have it up and ready for Maker Faire. It had everything from shoji screens to reflect my grandfather's Japanese heritage, and then it went to stained glass windows, which is supposed to represent the English-Irish heritage of Boston, because that's where I originally came from. And then lastly, the shingles of the Borgen Stave Church in Norway, because that's the other portion of my heritage. So it's this huge, just 3-tiered bookshelf I call the Warriors Worship. And it's just those because it represents the knights, the Vikings, the samurai. And and I built that, and now it stands. If anyone looks at it, they'll have to take a while to figure out what it is. But after it clicks and they get the symbols behind it, that's So, but I used machines and materials to speed that process along and to get it to where I was happy with it, so I could go back and refine that process later.
So that actually it reminds me of something that I thought of. I don't know if you remember me saying yesterday, like oh, that makes me. I just thought of something for the show, but I never said what it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Here's what it is. So I've noticed lately.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, don't be. You will be so let down.
Okay.
No, but I've noticed a tendency for me to build the house and then build the foundation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean?
what?
Yes.
So you're like, I'm gonna go do this thing, and oh, now I see all the ways I should have done that differently, and then
Yes.
you go back and you build the foundation.
We could talk about that. So like for those.
Good.
Well,
No,
Good.
No, so for those of you like who maybe have been following the saga, like, as if there is one, right? I'm going through a degree program,
Okay.
and I'm getting certification for all this shit that I knew kind of offhand or just in passing,
Right.
And it's just you take the Swiss cheese of knowledge,
Exactly.
and then fill in the holes. It's very similar,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just like that, like the first 3D model I made was a complete cluster. But over time, I built the one, and then and I need to do it differently this time, and then you iterate and get better and better. So
Do you guys have a preference on how you learn? Like, do you prefer doing the house before the foundation?
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
I do.
Me
I just
too.
jump in the pool with all my clothes on and figure out swimming later.
Okay. Well.
Ask how many projects that has happened. Sorry, off camera.
Yeah,
Yeah, just you see
a
that
lot.
slow
She's
nod.
Give you the look.
Yeah, no, I know that look well. Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
So one thing that I like about what you're explaining is the symbolism behind your work, right? So like,
Yes.
I'm going to ask here, maybe it's a personal question.
No,
Do you
go
have
ahead.
any tattoos?
I have one, and that is on my upper right arm, and it is.
I'm guessing there's symbolism to it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
So it was drawn, and I hope she's tuned in, by my adopted sister Leanne. And I was in high school. I was building guitars, and so she drew a guitar with a raven sitting atop it. And it was the prototype model for a guitar I called the Scythe. I have this thing with the 4 horsemen. I get really excited about those guys.
Like of the apocalypse?
Yes,
Okay.
actually, yeah, I know. Favorite mythological
which other
figure,
ones?
hand down.
I don't know, but it was going to be the end of the world for me tonight.
Okay.
So,
Cheers.
Are you getting the other one?
yeah,
No, wait. Here it is. It's right here. Yeah, take that one. There you go.
All right.
We got you covered.
By the way, Tucson, I don't like the drink.
yeah, I can tell.
He hates it. Can't
Yeah.
stand
It's a
it.
horrible drink.
Absolutely. Same
I like
sense
it.
of humor as you, Ma, huh? Yeah.
I like it too much. This chair doesn't have a seatbelt, so I gave him mine.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the guitar is eventually it's just part of it. You can see kind of the root system here.
So you're gonna do a full
like
sleeve,
the bottom
or
of
like-
it. Yeah, it's gonna wrap down around because so I have this philosophy that if you've ever read T.S. Eliot's The Hollow Men, we're gonna get deep into literature for a quick second here. The Hollow Men talks about how people are bound together by symbols and
Right.
kind of chained by their vanity and their shallowness. And I kind of really like that for the idea that if you're bound by symbols and pop culture and like nerds, a lot of the time, nerds and geeks, not used disparagingly, will dress themselves in symbols like from their favorite series and all that other stuff.
Oh, sure.
And so that in a way, that's kind of like the same thing that Eliot was getting at. But I see it as, well, if those symbols and likes and passions ground you, then absolutely wear them up and down, you know?
Yeah.
Like the symbol that I have here. Like you guys got the explanation at lunch what it was all about. And what it meant and the meaning behind it. If you're going to have symbols and let them ground you.
Yeah.
And if you're going to have things that you value and roots that you need to remember them as well. So what the sleeves are, my roots, because there's roots wrapped around this guitar that hold it up. And
Right.
my identity has always, for so long, been tied up in guitar and being excited and passionate about that. So I have that on that arm, and the rest is going to be flowers that represent my family. The other arm is all going to be chains. And all with masks from various pop culture series, symbols, and all this other stuff.
That'd be awesome.
Where you came from and what binds you to this earth, or what keeps you kind of grounded. And so it's really nerdy. I'm huge into symbolism, and that just soaks. It's my making. It's just that's where it comes from, is the symbols, and everything has something behind it.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So do you have any projects that I know we're probably working on everything all the time, just maybe some on a back burner, but do you have any projects that you're currently working on, something that's maybe right at the cusp of being completed? Anything of that nature, anything you want to share? Or?
I have an executive desk, and I think I shared this in live stream a couple weeks ago. that is a 7 foot long, about 30 inches deep, all oak with a couple other hardwoods desk, just laser engraved with a map of Detroit, all the city streets, Belle Isle
Yeah,
off
you
to the
showed
right
me
hand
that,
side.
I think, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
covered.
that is dope. I love it.
Yep, covered in epoxy bar top. And I love it because and I say executive desk, it has my company symbol on it that you see me wearing here. And I love it because I came out to Detroit because I started at a startup that was going to be a wonderful opportunity, but I didn't necessarily see it as one yet. And other opportunities in Boston were so highly gated, like you couldn't necessarily break in just through hard work. You had to know somebody.
Oh, yeah.
You had to do a bunch of bend over backwards. But when I came out to Detroit for the first time just to visit, I realized, thanks to the Heidelberg project, that if you were willing to roll up your sleeves and just do something, you could have it in Detroit.
Oh yeah.
And that was my motivation to do this desk and to start this company to lift up artists and to do all this other stuff. So now that desk is the biggest project. That's another one that everyone back home is rolling their eyes right now because they see that roll into the shop and they're like, oh great, what's it need now? So
Wait, how
Yeah.
how often do you transport your desk?
um,
That sounds like a pain in the ass.
I wouldn't do it.
So-
Yeah.
So, well, I'm still working on the top of the desk, and I will put it in a Scion TC by putting
TC?
By putting the passenger seat all the way up.
Sure.
By then loading the desk in, putting it up on the shoulders of the passenger seat, and then just crossing my fingers and driving to the shop like that.
Good grief.
So it'll eventually go home one day for good, but it keeps coming back. So
Wow.
it's like the cat that came back.
I was gonna ask you if you
Yeah.
like how you haul it, like if you have like your own trailer, like the shop out there has their own trailer, but no, it's just in a Scion TC.
Shoving it in the thigh. I'm like,
Yikes! But hey, it
So-
works.
So the makerspace out there, like out here, we just finished our Sciences Everywhere event. Do you guys have events out there that you do like on a regular basis? Like, do you participate in maker fairs, things of that nature?
We have Maker Faire, which is hosted at the Henry Ford Museum, which has to be, if you can put aside the checkered past of Henry Ford, the Henry Ford, yeah,
okay, he had some great moments.
yeah, and then he
Some
had
really not great moments.
yeah. So either way, we love the Henry Ford, we love it dearly. It is a great exhibition of inventing and all this other stuff. So they host it there, just outside of Greenfield Village. We then have our Maker Faire after party, where I actually bartended last year, and so people stumbled out of there pretty well. So I might be doing it again this year. And then what else is there? We do Potluck, which is a community event. We do where we walk down the it's a joke. We walk down the shop. You can leave if you need to, but we basically ask people to bring food and stay to help us clean the shop. And so it's one of our community building exercises. And then there's also Friday tour nights. So we open ourselves up to the public Friday nights, which just wrapped up for those guys. So they're all sitting around after tour night drinking.
Yeah, it's like it's like almost 11 out there,
Yeah.
and they're hanging out with us on the live stream.
Yeah,
10.
absolutely.
Central time, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
10.
no, Eastern.
No,
we're
Eastern.
southeastern. So
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's 3 hours ahead. So they're hanging out. We're playing the long night game. Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, awesome.
So
actually, I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah,
Speaking of location, so how is Detroit relative to the makerspace culture in general? Like, how many makerspaces are there? Like how's the reception been generally? Like,
For community
people,
building and getting together.
yeah. Let's see. We have. I know. I don't know the name. I'm gonna get it wrong. I'm sorry, Nate. There's a commission of more or less the Southeast makerspaces. I think last week they went to Kalamazoo. I don't know. They'll pipe up in the live stream chat about what's going on. They went to Jody. Yeah, define a makerspace, but there's a handful. So there's Pumping Station 1, which is our sister makerspace. Hi guys, if you're watching.
Is that the sister space out in Florida? You said last week?
No, there's
sorry.
another one in Florida. I forget the name of that one. There's so many.
There's a lot of pumping stations.
God damn it, Seth.
I mean, that's a rare name. Huh.
So,
Weird.
Pumping Station 1, Chicago.
There you go.
Thank you, Nate. So Michigan Makerspace organizers. There you go. FamiLab is our one in Florida that we often talk with. We actually have tied into our Slack workspace.
Oh, neat.
So we have a channel to talk with them, and we often ask how the weather is. So
Right? In the summer, muggy.
Yes.
Like I can tell you that one, muggy.
Yeah.
With a chance of alligators.
So is this the only other makerspace or hackerspace you've been to besides the one in besides I3? Now,
I was involved with Pony Ride for a short deal, which
Where was that?
Pony Ride is more in a co-working incubator than a makerspace, but
Okay.
they Adam Savage did visit them and label them makerspace, so I would consider them one. And
He has
what else?
officially
Trying to think.
sanctified them.
Yeah, exactly.
I, Adam Savage, of the makerspace.
Now rise and go make things.
No, so the reason why I ask is because, like,
Yeah.
I go to Hawaii every year annually. These guys know I go to the Big Island or whatever. But
He's the one that said it.
so
He's the only one that says it that way.
no, yeah, I fuck it up. Like out there on Maui, they have the Maui Makers. In Hawaii, they have, or like in Oahu, they have the high capacity, which is kind of cool, HI capacity. But I wasn't able to go there because their business hours weren't conducive to my vacation.
Yeah.
My fault, right? My fault. That's why I asked. You know,
Yeah.
your hackerspace or your makerspace has set business hours, right? Kind of like we have here.
Actually, so we tell the public that our open hours are specific times during the week to give tours. And then once you get this little blue chip or this RFID card that will open the door, it's 24/7. And the reason we do that is because we want to more or less, have people come in, see what the space is about, get invested in the community. And if they then want to join, they're said, well, if there's a member they take a specific shining to, like say, someone came in and they really liked what I was doing with my woodworking projects, I would be like, oh, by the way, if you wanted to complete your phase 1 and 2, you can come in on these days when I'm normally here, and I'll be more than glad to orient you to the space if the member so feels. Mm-hmm. So we keep, those open hours to a couple days so we can have volunteers on hand to then, tackle the tours that come in, not actually tackle them, but show them around the space, tell them what tools we have, how the zones work, what our membership model is, things like that. And we don't actually just have people hand over like a card or, payment to the space. We have them come to community meetings once or twice. We encourage them to, get to know the zone coordinators, to talk to other members, to get entrenched in the community. And that is the special sauce there that allows us to.
He did the special sauce thing. He just did that. That's a thing.
Yeah. Maker Bay. Anyway, so that is what has allowed us to keep the community cohesive, because I think I told you guys the other day, we work kind of, and this isn't a negative against us, but we gain members, we lose a few, and it's like sandpaper. We've built up our membership slowly. We haven't made anyone drink Kool-Aid. But
no, you haven't, Tucson.
Yeah, he does it willingly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I'm drinking against my will.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
So we try to get people invested in the culture of the space, and that's what keeps the community cohesive. Thank you, Nate. Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of shit going on right now in our live stream. So we have a couple people kind of not arguing, but they're talking about how the bylaws that these makerspaces are made, what they do with the RFID system we have in here. And it sounds like a lot of the makerspaces and hackerspaces are kind of made, of course, with the same, not exactly the same, but a very similar model. You have vetted memberships, you have open hours, you have tours, you have what you can and can't do based off of your membership, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So my next question is, do you have that thing that we have here, like a hackerspace passport, or like a map of where other hackerspace members have come from or been to?
Normally it's
over there,
it's a mental recollection. I think Nate does keep kind of the equivalent of a suitcase covered in stickers as to what makerspaces he's been to.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Did you see our sticker door?
I did not. I'll have to.
We left the doors open right now to the danger room, but we have a huge sticker door.
All right. Yeah, I think we might have had something like that in our history. But we normally, and we also will take in what we lovingly term to as refugees from other closed spaces. Like, unfortunately, the village.
You just call them refugees?
Yeah.
Whoa. Never thought of myself as a refugee.
So, like, well, let me explain. That is a very loving term. Ford sponsored a makerspace, a corporate makerspace, which is kind of just antithetical
I
to
have
the whole
so
idea.
many questions
Yeah,
about just that name.
Yeah.
Go on.
So
Yeah.
I think I believe it was Tech Shop, and that closed down. And we also had Village Workshop, and a few other makerspaces that closed down. And so these people, those who had heard about us would, come and join the space. And we've brought some of their processes. Nate also says they themselves call themselves refugees, and that they graft onto our own culture, and they normally very much add something to what's going on.
So I gotta ask though. Okay, so Ford, they're like, we're gonna make a makerspace.
Yes.
How does that work?
So they noticed that a lot of their employees were creatives, engineers, or whatever that were looking. It's the same thing where Ford was like, all right, give them a set hour work week and pay them a decent wage.
So they can go buy the damn cars.
Exactly.
Right?
So now they're like, okay, well, they want to be creative. They want to engineer different things. They want to tinker and hack and all this other stuff. Let's give them a space to do so.
Sounds good.
And they would staff it with, people who knew how to run the machines just in case there were some gaps in knowledge and so on and so forth to avoid operator error and liability. And they would then, allow these employees to go there for a specific amount of money a year, available out of your paycheck. From what I understand of it, because I have another friend whose father worked at Ford and who would use this space regularly. And so they did that, and then unfortunately, they also opened it to the public for other people as well. They had, the employee, and then
kind of like a credit union kind of.
Yeah.
Like if you're an employee of it, then you're welcome. And if you live near it, that's fine too.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Got it.
So
Okay.
Again, corporate makerspace, antithetical, and with all that, they had it going for a while, and then it turns out, well, makerspaces aren't profitable.
Huh.
And who knew?
Who would have thought?
Yeah. And so given that, Tech Shop unfortunately closed down.
Right.
And
that was like a couple years ago, was it?
no, that was actually fairly recent.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think they might have had a stuttering where they might have had to close shop for a little while, and then they restructured and tried to reopen, and then they folded again. So, and this is all, again, I'm going off, not to undermine my own authority, but I'm going all off hearsay and reading through Slack and email posts and not direct sources.
So,
but
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go, Sean.
I apologize if you've already explained this, but why do you guys call yourselves I3? Like, what's everything's about symbolism. What's the I3 about?
That has been lost to time
Nuh-uh.
for most members, but it's actually on our T-shirts. I believe it's innovate, inspire.
Come
someone
on, you're
in
on
live
the spot
chat,
now.
help me.
You're on the spot now. You gotta do something about
Nate,
what?
dig me out here.
Indexes.
Imagine,
No,
innovate.
You gotta figure out what it is.
Iterate.
Imagine.
No, imagine, innovate, inspire. I need to stop this. Is what is going
Hey man,
on.
that just means you made a good drink.
They're all shouting it in chat.
Imagine, innovate, and inspire.
Exactly.
No,
There
dude,
you
that's
go.
really cool. Okay, I didn't know if we got there yet.
We did.
I'm doing
But-
time out of order tonight.
James
so.
Odell says, "You're doing great." I don't know if that's how he meant it,
All right.
but that's how I'm. That's
Everybody
how
out there, give us a thumbs up if you're having fun. Even if you're not at I3 right now. If you're like here locally, or if you're just watching somewhere else.
So
just-
at I3, they're gonna give us thumbs up.
let's see. Let's find out. Let's find out.
We can't see them.
No, I'm saying in the chat, like they can give us the
There's a 45
the
second
I3
lag.
thumbs up. I don't care. Hey, look, we got an okay.
Oh, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
And he's in the room.
Oh, god damn it. Okay.
Great
Now,
idea.
Hey, we have our first community mic. Remember, community mic is brought to you by Chembox Development. I just picked up my third student, so hey, we're getting somewhere. All right, Wolf, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the drink is awesome, so I was going to say the I is probably for intoxicated.
That's the Maker Faire after party.
Oh my god, I'm having a great time. All right.
It's very delicious, but I already had to stop.
Yeah.
It is. Wait, do I have to finish yours too?
Yeah,
Yes.
you are.
I'm trying to
do.
get to that extra one. Oh, okay, sorry. I've already been told that I'm a little loud. So there's actually. Hold on. There's actually a hashtag in our live stream right now called "Make Chen Quiet Again." So if you missed it, Satchel, there it is. No! Oh, I thought you were gonna take it. All right, hold on.
Wow, he was
There we
so-
go. Cool. Awesome.
Man,
Thank you.
props for
You-
staying out of the shot.
You are an enabler. Yes.
good.
Yeah.
Guy.
No, but
yeah, wait, I'm gonna flip over to the.
we
I
have
wanna
to give
watch
him props though because there have been times where people,
Just
walk
stick their
into the
butt
shot.
right in front of the camera.
Regardless.
I can't hang with that. That's uncool.
So, all right. So
All
when
right.
you go, first of all, when you
Yes.
coming back?
When am I coming back? That's up to her. So.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Have you ever thought about going to DEF CON that we have here annually, like in August? End of July, August.
What is it mostly for hackers and things of that nature?
Yeah, but dude, the villages are insane. We have a
Yeah.
car hacking village.
Ooh.
We have a hardware hacking village. We have a packet capture or like wireless hacking village. Like, and when I'm saying
Social
we, I'm just saying
engineering
we as in the
village,
hacker
yeah.
community. I'm not saying we like SynShop. But yeah, so if you've ever thought about DEF CON, the hacker conference, as not a maker thing, it very much is a maker thing as well. So you should probably consider it.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So.
So.
I think I will try. The other thing is that we are actually also going to NomCon this year. I've been talking about being one of the representatives for i3 Detroit for NomCon.
When is that?
That is June
I was gonna
14th
say,
through
is it a foodie fest?
16th.
What is it?
So NomCon is the National Convention of Makers. Last year it was in New Mexico, and Adam Savage was the keynote speaker.
Oh wow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. This year I haven't heard if there's a keynote, but I have more or less. I've become, the one of the people who love representing i3 Detroit. So I will just go out. I'll be like, yeah, of course I want to go. Last year we actually came back and they brought this interesting little tidbit, and it was an anecdotal story. Is I believe Jody, he said to us, yeah, someone saw the i3 Detroit T-shirts and then leaned over and whispered, i3's here. This must be legit. And so. Yeah, exactly. So, and
Nice.
that's why I'm wearing the lovely patch that was made for me today. So,
Very cool.
yeah.
Very cool.
Awesome.
And I would have worn the shirt, but 2 reasons. 1 is a little small,
Yep.
and 2, it's kind of like wearing the band's shirt to the concert.
No, I mean, I'm not
But next
against
week,
it.
next week,
Yeah.
once I get, because I almost wore your T-shirt too. Actually,
Yeah.
that was my second choice.
So,
Yeah.
if I may use that to segue into an ad read here, Shen, if I might.
Go ahead.
All right. Okay. Shameless self plug.
First of all, hold on.
Yeah.
Whenever it's a plug, it's not a shameless plug. Do it because we're here
That
to
would
share.
imply that it's shameless.
Well, okay, you're right. Shut up.
So the second reason.
I haven't been like this in a long time.
7
No,
days
that's a
about.
lie. Yeah, 7 days.
7 days. Yeah.
Wait, I was sober at the last show.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's been about 14 days.
Oh man,
So.
no chip for you.
Oh my god.
I hate meetings. Some people in the audience will know that I hate meetings.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna do it. Okay,
Alright.
sorry, Susanna. What's going on?
It's all right. So one of the other reasons I did come out to Vegas, and to do the podcast was I wanted to also talk about, given that's making and craft, my business that I've started that's out of i3 Detroit. And so I did clear this with you guys yesterday. Is that so I own or have started the Tucson O Trading company. And what that is we work collaboratively to design with artists and other craftspeople products that create a cohesive brand, or I should say more an eclectic brand. And when asked what we do, the correct response is more what we don't. To ask us more what we don't do.
So plumbing out.
Yeah, plumbing's out of the question.
Right,
Yeah,
okay,
unfortunately,
okay.
we do furniture with black iron pipe. However,
Okay,
so that
that's cool.
a little bit on the table there.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
but we do photography, illustration, woodwork, and we're constantly, looking to headhunt other artists to, bring on to the company and say, hey, we'd love for you to do a product with us. In fact, there's a wonderful cottage industry company out of i3 called Lyra Starshine that does laser engraved granite tiles. And so I think that's going to be
neat.
one of the next people we work with.
Yeah.
And talk about representing them at conventions, like bringing their stuff along with us and selling them. So the whole idea, again, with going back to the trading company thing, is much like my great grandfather homesteaded and had to be self-sufficient and probably jack of all trades. When he went into town to get something, there was a trading post.
Right.
And so that's where it kind of takes inspiration from, is the idea that if you're looking for something, if you're looking for craft work, you come to us. If you're looking for photography, for home decor, for furniture.
Yeah.
And the other aspect of it is that I've talked with these artists, and the ones that I've gathered are from underserved areas, and they want to do something. They want to be working. They are passionate people.
Absolutely.
And so I saw that, and I talked with my sister, and we worked on designing or trying to communicate with these artists and get a design together that would then, we'd able to bring it forward and say, we're very confident in this, we're very passionate about it, we love this product, and here it is, and it's made locally, or designed by a local artist
As locally as possible. Yeah.
So Christina, my girlfriend, actually sells her Detroit photography, and when we travel, we take pictures, and so those, we look through them, we decide what's going to make the next great photo, what can we put in our gallery alongside my sister's work and alongside a New Bedford artist, which is a New England town, named Sean Pierce. What can we put in the gallery that makes sense and give them a cohesive underlying theme of either landscapes, forestscapes, waterside pictures, rivers, and all this other stuff. How do we curate this to make sure that there's everyone and everything is represented, and no one's more or less in the corner, and all these ideas make sense? So how
do you do that? Because at the end of the day, someone's got to be at the top of the page.
I'm trying to think.
Or is it just based on sales, or is it based on
Well, so that's part of the sauce that I can't quite give away, because
cool,
I'm
cool.
sure my
Okay,
sister's screaming at the camera, "Don't tell them anything!
Don't say anything!" Right.
So, but so that's that, and that's what I'm trying to do is bring together these artists who are really passionate about their craft work, and say, guys, all right, you're not in this alone. I'm leading you from the trenches. My own work is right there on on the page with you.
Sure.
So we're all going to do this. We're all going to go forward with this company.
So do you handle like a lot of the business end of things, and you're like, just you make art, give it to me, I will sell it and give you money?
Yes,
Oh, that's perfect.
it gets more complicated, but
Well,
yes.
of course.
Yeah.
That's right. There's taxes and things. And
and
stuff.
I'm doing the art as well.
Right.
So that's the other thing. My own woodwork, I'm working on products right now that I can take to craft shows and that I can put up on Etsy and the store we have going. And so they look at it and they go, well, my art's up there and it's not selling. Well, my art's up there too. So if we hit, then we hit together. If we go down, we go down together.
Right.
And that's how it is. So lead from the trenches is the key philosophy.
Yeah. So like what you were describing sounds an awful lot like record labels for techno music, like in the early days. It was just like hey, I got a record label and you're pretty good. Yeah, come and be on my record label. Not the big ones, but like the little 1,000 copy runs, the little stuff.
Yeah.
And that's really cool, because when you're an artist, the last thing that you want to do is paperwork.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You don't want to have to source, someone to master it and press it and do this and ship it and call the places and the things and stuff. You just want to make music and hand someone something and maybe get money back.
Yep.
And just get it out there, really. And that's really cool that you're able to do that with stuff in the physical world. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So we're going to transition into the lightning round in just a second. There's one thing that I wanted to just touch upon really quick.
We should keep rolling.
Oh, no, we can keep talking, but I mean,
go for it.
So speaking of making, one thing that I've been working on in the past couple of weeks, hard segue, by the way, sorry.
Gross.
Hard cider, hard segue. No, so a long time ago when BGM was still part of the show and hanging out with us and everything, and when we were still in IRC, like not even Slack, not Discord, but IRC.
Press F to pay respects.
Exactly. So we had a bot in the IRC server that would handle a lot of the administration stuff. There were a lot of features such as having giving the audience the ability to ask us questions that we would then answer on the show before we got into the lightning round. And we're actually working on a bot right now, and I'd like to return a lot of that functionality to the show.
Sure.
I'd like to get that going, but now in Discord. So I am working on a Discord bot. I've been working on it pretty much all day, every day for this week.
As soon as you announce it before it's done, it ain't gonna get
No,
done.
shut up. I do this. This is my thing. But I'd like to get it joined by either next week or the week after. And I'd like to bring it back, that functionality, to the show again, because I think that's something that's missing. I'm pretty sure that without going up to the community mic, sometimes we have a lot of questions in the audience or either on the live stream, people who want to ask us questions that we can answer to them, not necessarily like in a chat room. So that's something that I'm working on, just saying, throwing it out there.
Sure.
So, okay. Do we have anything that we want to talk about before we move on to the lightning round?
I actually do have kind of sort of an announcement sort of thing from the chat. From my understanding, there is an expansion fundraiser going on.
Yes.
I3 is doubling their floor space, and Michigan is offering them a matching grant.
So I was actually going to try to get that before you guys made it into the lightning round. So yes, we have been fortunate enough to be open for 10 years or 9 or 10 years now, nearly a decade. And what has happened is we have outgrown our current shop. And now that is absolutely it's a double-edged sword. It's a good blessing to have.
Of course,
yeah.
It's a
Good problem to
Yeah,
have. Thank you.
absolutely, yeah.
Good problem to have. And so, given that, we needed to expand, and one of the local meaderies that we had next door moved a couple blocks up the street, and we were given first refusal on their previous space, which is literally separated by a cinder block wall. That's it.
Nice.
And so there's a couple fire doors or service doors, in and out to be able to facilitate us moving. But the huge thing there is funds. And so what's going on is that we are going to be putting up very soon at i3detroit.org/grant. We're going to be putting up a kind of Kickstarter or crowdfunded campaign that will then be matched by the state. So that means if we are able to raise $50,000 through this, then the state will go and say, okay, you managed to raise this. This is obviously a cause with a lot of following and a lot of importance to the community.
Right.
Here's another $50,000. Run with it.
Yeah.
And that would allow us to do pretty much everything that we've ever dreamed to address every one of our growing pains. And as we have watched makerspaces come and go, it would be, and we haven't struggled or wanted for a lot. It would be nice to be able to expand with very few worries, because there is a certain tension and stress among the members right now of, okay, this is a very huge move for us, and how is this going to be done? And so, as confident and leaders as we are in the makerspace community, we still have questions about how things are done, and we're throwing things against the wall to see how it works. And so basically I make an ask of those whoever is out there now, if you're watching, if making, if craft, if hacking and vocational education is important to you, go to that link, watch for when that page goes up. It should be up and going around Maker Faire, but please, whatever you can do helps us spread making, spread craft, spread vocational education, and continue the wonderful work that makerspaces do across the country. So
I was going to start humming God Bless America. you rehearsed that shit.
I did not. That was completely off the cuff.
I was going to say something silly, but I was like, well, So how many people are you up to now? Because
That's my question. That was going to make my question.
180.
Oh, shit.
Roughly 180. And we are in, I want to say, a 6,000 square foot space at the moment. I want to say that's the rough number. Someone will correct me in live stream. I'm pretty certain if I'm wrong. So
awesome. So is it about the same size as here-ish? Like plus the back, obviously.
I would say roughly maybe another 25% or so.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in an industrial building in a Detroit suburb called Ferndale.
That is the only thing. Well, that is one of 4 things that I miss about the Midwest is old industrial buildings. I really, really miss it.
Yeah.
Because everything here was built after like 1980, so it's like But anyway, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, again, so just a little bit of housekeeping there. Again, that URL is i3detroit.org/grant to find out more information as it comes.
Thank you.
Man.
Double fingers.
Yeah, echoing my thumbs up from the other day.
I'm having such a good time right now. Okay. Anything else before we want to move on to the lightning round? No, we're good?
Do you want to describe what that thing is?
What thing?
That thing.
What thing?
I think we're moving on to.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Jesus, Chen.
Oh, I don't know.
He only does it every week.
I only do it every week.
This one's my fault.
No, so actually there is an explanation that's deserved here. So as you know, if you've been watching for the last maybe month or two, it's been kind of hard to find resources that are like not clickbaity, not an advertisement, not what the fuck ever. So I actually remembered about this source. I remember this source from like years ago, and it's actually stayed true to not being an advertisement. And I really want to use this moving forward as long as it keeps with the good information. So today we're going to try this out. We're going to go to seclists.org/ISN for information security news. So if you want to follow along at home or here in the audience, that's where we'll be going to. Again, that is seclists.org/ISN. So what we do with the lightning round is we're going to give our tweet's length, which it never is, but we'll give our tweet's length, which is now 240 characters, of an opinion, and we'll go around robin. Who's going to start first, by the way?
I'll start.
All right, so Zenify's going to start first. We're going to go round the table. So Tucson, you're second, and then we'll go around this way. We're going to give our tweet's length of an opinion on the matter. Now, I'm actually excited about this because you not coming from the quote-unquote like software programming hacker side.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about information security news. I'd still like to know your opinion on the matter.
Yep.
Maybe this affects you as a user. Maybe this affects you on some level. I want to see what your opinion is. So, somebody put the double fingers in the chat room. If you're not in the chat room, you should be there because this shit has just been on fire. All right. Let's see. First of all, with my state of mind and state of being and this font, I wish I should have made it bigger, but we'll get there. All right. First one. The NSA knows its weapons may one day be used by its targets. Can somebody say Stuxnet? Go ahead, Zenivai.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's already started to happen with, their critical pen testing tools being leaked all across the internet and then constantly being talked about and used, and I'm pretty sure it's already on its way right
Whoopsie.
there. Yeah.
Is this how you want Tony Stark? Or is this how...
That's
you
okay.
want Tony Stark? Because this is how you get Tony Stark.
You made the drinks, but I'll drink them. I'll pretend like you drank
You're
along with me.
actually kind of making it appealing now. Damn it.
No.
There's a ancient saying, remember when you dig a hole, it's two you fi dig. If you don't know that, then I don't know how you listen to reggae. But basically the theory is, like when you go out to kill someone and you dig a hole for their body, you may as well dig one for yourself while you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the effort of killing them will one day kill you.
I know the philosophy.
Sure, that's why you looked at me like, huh?
Yeah.
No, I just didn't understand you through these years.
Okay.
All right. So the only thing that I had to say, Kim Zetter, who's a
Tweets link. I'm kidding.
for fuck's sake.
Go ahead.
Son of a bitch. Okay, Kim Zetter wrote a book about Stuxnet. Obviously, for this reason, I can't remember the name, but this was the concern, which is, you launch the tool, Stuxnet or whatever it is, it will come back at you because it's software. It's not a nuke that will just not work anymore. It's something that'll come back. So, why are you looking at me sideways?
But whatever it is, once you release it into the world, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like with the atom bomb, like
It wasn't my quote, it was the book.
no, that's cool. Like once the technology is ready to be discovered, there's almost nothing that's going to hold it back. You know what I mean?
Information wants to be free.
That too.
Yeah.
That's a part of it.
That is part of it.
But, all right.
All right, next one. Microsoft May 2019 patch Tuesday arrives with a fix for Windows zero-day MD5 attacks.
Just before the show,
We talked about this, yeah.
We talked a little bit about it, and turns out there might be more issues with that patch, but I mean, at least they rolled out a quick patch for that specifically.
But now it's affecting Citrix.
yeah,
Or as we were saying before the show, Shitrix now.
I think you were the only one that said that. but
Yeah,
okay.
you were definitely the only
Well,
one.
whatever.
That said that. Right under the bus.
Whatever. I know. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Like we got a conveyor belt
I'm
that's
telling you,
just
man,
like
I am the strongest punching bag. Tasano, you got words for us?
This just brings back memories of October. That's all.
October.
he doesn't have any memories of October.
I don't have your memory of October. Go ahead. Remember, this is your fault, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Oh no, my dad said that too.
Holy shit. Oh my god.
Play.
Okay, let's get through this before we get in trouble. Jesus Christ. You have any? Do you have any opinion on this?
Oh no!
He's speechless.
I ain't following that. No.
All right.
That was good.
Let's
We're gonna leave that there.
let's move on to the next article. All right, next one. Quote: "The Shadow War: How a Chinese spy stole some of the Pentagon's most sensitive secrets."
Was this like over the wire, or was this the one that accidentally got into Mar-a-Lago?
I'm not sure. This is from this. The source is from CNN. So
Accidentally.
Yeah, accidentally then.
Got into Mar-a-Lago.
got opinions on Chinese spies?
Oh, not without getting in the Epic Game Store. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, he's taking a drink.
So, first of all, they join a local hackerspace.
Yeah.
No, I have no idea.
All right, next one. A Cisco router bug has massive global implications.
I mean, I get
Yes.
Was it a 29? I don't know. I haven't read the article, but was it a 2960 switch or something along those
No,
lines?
it looks
No?
like a 1000X series.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, actually,
So just another. I see it as another bug, but
yeah. Crux sent it
not
to me
yet.
earlier this week. So.
Mhm. So you totally didn't hit it. I'm playing right
No,
under the
I-
bus. Under
I
the
know,
bus.
just jeez.
Oh,
No,
the
it's like an
315 is here.
18-wheeler.
Here it is. Yep, there
Oh,
it is.
geez. Okay,
All
let's do like two more. I think we could stand two more. All right. Trend Micro admits it was hacked. Symantec denies claims of FX MSP breach.
was this one of the three that were hacked last week?
One of the three that the Russians owned. Thank you for that fact check.
Yeah, that sucks.
we are currently in the deep end. It's a bit over my head.
All right. Things were hacked.
Yes.
That's what happened.
I only doggy paddle. Yeah.
All right. Let's make this the last one then.
Yeah.
Let's see. 200 million record breach. Why collecting too much data raises risk.
You can never collect too much data.
Yeah, you can. We talked about this the last couple of weeks with Vic.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
No, I just like collecting data.
You're a data hoarder.
So we've gone from social disease to social media disease now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
You can absolutely. I don't know if you can collect too much data, but you can absolutely collect too many records because those shits are heavy.
Oh, my God.
12-inch vinyl, sweet baby Jesus.
Who the fuck is worse? The right side or the left side?
I'm here to help.
Or the middle. Shut up.
The middle is definitely worse.
Okay, well, let's make that the last article. So what do you guys think about this source, though? I think it's a pretty good source, right?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah? Okay, cool.
We'll see.
So we'll see how it goes. We'll give it a couple of weeks. So anyway, Tucson, I want to say thank you so much, dude, for being here.
Thank you for
hanging out
having
with
me,
us.
gentlemen, so much.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
guys out at I3, hi, and thanks for joining the live stream. Like I said, man, this chat was just almost unkeepupable. That's a word now.
Nailed it.
Yes. So that does bring us to the end of the lightning round, which, as you guys know, brings us to the end of the show. We have unfortunately run out of time, but never out of shit to say. So join us again next week, like every Friday night, 7:30 p.m. here at the Sin Shop. The address is 1075 American Pacific Drive, Suite C in Henderson, Nevada. We are still the Las Vegas Valley Hackerspace. Crux is here so that I know that when I give the address, he knows where to find us. And you guys should too.
And if you ever look for I3 Detroit, our address is 1481 Wordsworth Street in Ferndale, Michigan.
Excellent. There we go. So for more information on us as a podcast, go to Greynoise, GREYNOI.se. Remember, we don't talk shit about Sweden, so we can still use that domain.
And they still charge us too much for furniture.
I like IKEA and their
I love-
Swedish meatballs.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Don't talk shit about Sweden.
I'm not.
All right. Anyway, my name is Master Chen.
Is that okay?
Oh, and I'm Richard Satchel. Hello.
And I'm Tom Tucsano.
Good night, everybody.